Before we get into today's mailbag, there is an additional way to get on the show beyond using the hashtag NFL or super chatting on our live shows. It's called a super thanks. Allows you to edit your message, send in whatever, and comment, question, thought, whatever it is. Go, if you're watching on demand, i.e. not live, click that $ sign with the heart icon, edit your message, send it in, and we'll give you a shout out on a future show. First up from Tony, I am worried about my Chiefs in 2025, my friend Tom, but I know KC will get what they need in the draft, but how do I know for sure they'll be really competitive? Because that's all they do. I think there's some natural, disappointment, frustration, whatever, that we were hoping for more, we didn't have a great Super Bowl showing. You also made it to the Super Bowl. You haven't lost to an AFC team in the playoffs in how many years now? You'll be competitive. You'll be a Super Bowl contender every year. There's stuff they have to get better at, but it's the Chiefs. They're good. I think that's pretty obvious right now. True allure. So the Niners trade down if there's a player that they don't like. Yeah, I think that's what every team should do, right? That's kind of the issue that I think you tend to run into here. Is that if this goes not just for the Niners, but for any NFL team, whether you're picking 5 or 15 or 11 or 25, if there's not a lot of options that you're in love with, or there's a bunch of options, then you should always try to trade down. The problem is, especially if you don't like the players on the board, is there a team that wants to trade up? You can always trade down, but are you going to get the right value? And if you're not getting good value, it's probably not worth it at that point. Because at that point, it's just kind of might not be feasible. It doesn't make logical sense. So you can trade down, but is there a willing partner who will pay you what you want? That's always the big question. From Tyreek Grill. Anyway, could you see a Tyreek Hill trade on draft night? I'd be surprised. It's not impossible. The money's not great for anybody involved. The Dolphins eat a bunch of it. A new team still owes a bunch of money as well. I have questions about the likelihood of a Tyreek Hill trade this year. Next year could be a very different conversation, and at that point maybe teams move on. But I am inclined to go with they try to just run it back for one more year, and then maybe next year they make some more wholesale changes. So predictions. Good job listening to Flystone. Will Dolphins trade Tyreek Hill? Y for yes, N for no. It is the pinned comment on today's show. The ad comes here on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Junior Estrada, what should the Patriots do if Hunter and Carter are gone in the draft? I think there's two main options. Outside of trade down, which they could try, but again, I don't know who's coming up to trade up in that scenario. I don't really find it very likely, like we just mentioned. Just take the best player on your board. And that could be a Mason Graham. Could be Ashton Genty. Could be one of those guys. We're just going to take the best player. Or they're in love with the surprise defender like Jalen Walker or something. Or they just address their biggest need, which is we're just going to take Will Campbell or Amon Bembu and have a franchise tackle to protect Drake May. I think either of those paths probably seem the most likely. From DJ KJ, again, we're filming this on our Tuesday live show, so hopefully one's made by then. When is Rodgers going to finally make a decision? I don't know. Hopefully soon. He really shouldn't wait any longer. He should have made one already. Steelers, on the fly here, Steelers offseason program begins April 21st with strength and conditioning, and you got some meetings there. So, in theory, you would like to have your starting quarterback in the building by then. Will they? I actually don't know. That's what makes it all so curious to me. Now, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Springtime is here. Baseball season is officially underway. Do not miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond to your Prize Picks lineup. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, first inning runs, take your pick of more or less for your shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash today. It's available in more than 30 states, California, Texas, and Georgia included. You can do baseball or season-long football Prize Picks. I like the less than on all three of these because I am worried about the Lions' offense. Rashee Rice will eat into Travis Kelce's touches. The Commanders probably don't want Jay Daniels to run as much. I think all three of those lead towards the less than. So if you haven't already, go download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play that first $5 lineup. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. DC times Viper. Do you feel this is the year from the QB issue that maybe is Tomlin's last year if they fail to reach the playoffs? Look, at some point, Mike Tomlin has to have some of the blame for why the roster and the offense and quarterback play isn't good enough. He's the head coach. He has always done a great job of maximizing the talent available, but at a certain point, like, he's picking the OCs. He's going to put on the QB. If it fails so often, doesn't he get some blame at some point? With that said, I don't know. I would probably lean towards no because in theory they have Rodgers and they still draft somebody and they get to try the young QB path again. I know he's a top 10 coach. This isn't the NBA where you're sitting fourth in your conference and you get fired before the playoffs begin. Not division conference. Looking at you out there, Denver. I would be. It's never impossible, but I would put it under the surprise. Unless it's really, really, really bad. Stephen Jones Burner. What is Jaire Alexander's future? It's a good question. I don't know. I could see him getting cut. Though that might have happened already if they were going to. I think they would like to trade him and get some assets back. I don't know who wants that contract. It kind of feels like a staring contest. So they approach him about a pay cut. Does Alexander want to do a pay cut? It's been a little, it's not toxic, but there's been some bumps in the road in that relationship because Alexander can be a little, I don't know, bit of a head case times. So I thought he would have been cut by now. He hasn't. So I am very much in the, I got to see it play out. What do you think ends up happening with the Packers and Jaire Alexander? T for they trade him. K for they cut him or keep him. T for trade. K for keep. I just merged cup and cut into one somehow, which makes no sense. K for keep. T for trade. Go vote in the comments of today's show. Wolfpack, should the Jets trade Breece Hall to the Indianapolis Colts? I mean, what are the Colts offering? Because if I'm the Colts and I've got Jonathan Taylor, am I trading a premium asset for 1 year rental of a backup back? Can't I just draft somebody and have that guy for 4 years at a very, very cheap rate as opposed to 1 year at a $3 million price tag? It's you can call, both teams can call, but I think that the return trade, unless the Jets already drafted somebody, probably isn't great. Now, don't miss out on any NFL news, rumors, live NFL draft coverage. Hit that sub button right now. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. Paul 5486. With the Dolphins looking like Swiss cheese, who do they draft? D-line, corner, safety, or left guard? I'll go kind of in order here. I think they have to add multiple defensive linemen. That might not be in round one, but at minimum, this team should be drafting like Alfred Collins on day 2 and 1 or 2 day 3 interior defensive linemen. They don't have the bodies, let alone the talent. They're really beyond Zach Sieler. They have to add multiple players there. Kenneth Grant in round 1, Alfred Collins on day 2. That both those guys make sense. Corner, look, probably have 2 if you trust Kid Kohu. Jalen Ramsey's 1. You going to bank on Storm Duck? Could you take Will Johnson in round 1? There's going to be like a bunch of day 2 corners in that range. Just some combination of Maxwell Harrison, Benjamin Morrison, Savon Revel at ECU could maybe be there in round 2. Safety needs help. They have bodies, Melifonwu and Ashton Davis, but like Malachi Starks, Nick Monwari, Xavier Watts on day 2. And I don't ever want to start Liam Eichenberg again. So like I would love to get a guard too. That's 4 starters you're searching for plus depth. The math ain't mathin'. And unless they can trade down, get a bunch more assets, they're going to be light. Please don't spend another day 3 or another day 2 or early day 3 pick on a back. Don't do that again, please. Jenny, will the Eagles trade Bryce Huff? Maybe. That one is a tricky contract. I've got my notes here. I was talking with Harrison about it. He's got a pretty big option bonus that's due before the season begins. Now, the option bonus doesn't impact the cap very much, but Philadelphia's going to be eating dead money. They'd be paying him more to not be on their roster. They could eat some of the option bonus. I don't know if they want to. A new team would owe him $16.75 in cash. He was a scratch in the Super Bowl. I don't know what the Bryce Huff future looks like. I wouldn't. This could be your very rare, like, actively choosing to make him a post-June 1st trade to try to save some money short-term for Philadelphia. So name a player who you think gets traded. Let me know in the comments section of today's show what player you think ends up getting shipped out. Cali Lama, excluding Jaden Daniels, which QB do you think will have the best sophomore season? It's a good question. Look, I am going to lean towards Caleb Williams. He's got Ben Johnson. I think that should work really well. I think all 4 guys you should like feel kind of good about. Like if you're a Bears fan, a Patriots fan, a Falcons fan, or a Broncos fan, you'd be like, yeah, this feels pretty good. I think Williams and Drake May probably have the most room to take significant steps forward relative to what they did last year. And both teams also swapped out their head coaches. So there's also more of a gamble involved there. I think Penix has plenty of ability. I think Bo Nix was maybe one of the more consistent of those 4 guys. So I am excited to see how those guys all grow in year 2. But I lean Caleb Williams, and I'm also very excited about Drake May's long-term outlook as well, especially if they can get a tackle in the draft.